The Drukhari, or the Dark Eldar, are an ancient and sophisticated race of elf-like beings. They revel in piracy, enslavement, and the art of torture, embodying a sadism that knows no bounds. The origins of the Dark Eldar are rooted in the fall of the Eldar, a cataclysm so profound that it nearly annihilated the entire Eldar race. The Eldar, a psychically potent race, were born to wield great mental power, their thoughts resonating profoundly within the warp. Their empire, vast and mighty, provided them lives of unparalleled luxury, untouched by the scourge of poverty. Their great machines catered to their every need, freeing them to explore other pursuits. This freedom led them down a path of decadence, a path they would rue for eternity. This descent into hedonism unfolded over a millennia. Tradition and order decayed, and pleasure cults emerged. Their sole aim, the attainment of the highest hedonistic sensation. Their ceremonies grew ever more frenzied, spiraling into violence and the sacrifice of their kin. Some Eldar, repulsed by this moral decay, fled to the untouched Maiden Worlds, or sought refuge aboard the newly constructed Craft Worlds, abandoning the pleasure cults to their insanity. During this era, the Eldar also uncovered the secrets of the Webway, swiftly mastering this labyrinthine network to expand their galactic dominion. They established realms and outposts, serving as hubs for interstellar travel. Among these, the city of Commorragh was founded, and swiftly became a haven for the pleasure cults in their increasingly depraved acts. Within the warp, the decadent Eldar civilization was unwittingly giving shape to a chaos power. Over millennia, this malign force grew ever stronger, gaining definition and potency, until it sparked into a sentience, a vast and malevolent intelligence with an insatiable hunger for Eldar souls. When Slaanesh finally manifested, the universe was shattered by an apocalyptic upheaval. An immense psychic shockwave rippled across the galaxy, stripping the souls from nearly every Eldar in an instant, to be consumed by the newborn Chaos God. Few survived the onslaught, and most were driven mad. The denizens of Commorragh, however, were ensconced within the Webway, shielded from Slaanesh's ravenous thirst. Much of the Webway lay in ruins. They endured, and unlike their Craftworld kin, they remained unrepentant. It was during this time that the Eldar began to suffer from the thirst, an insatiable and ever-growing need to consume the souls of other beings. This soul-drinking had a rejuvenating effect, reversing the effects of aging and staving off the fear of falling into the clutches of Slaanesh. If they maintained a constant supply of souls, they could evade the inevitable doom that awaited them, and so they began their raids into real space, hunting for captives and slaves to sustain their twisted immortality, thus birthing the Dark Eldar. Dark Eldar share many similarities with the rest of the Eldar race. However, generations of constant physical conflict and life within the Dark City have led to distinct variations. The skin of a Dark Eldar is almost translucent, a consequence of the perpetual darkness of Commorragh. Their strength and reflexes surpass those of their Craftworld kin. Most notably, Dark Eldar psychers are virtually non-existent. The innate psychic abilities common to the Eldar have atrophied among them, for to wield such powers would draw the baleful gaze of Slaanesh. This is one of the few things expressly forbidden within Commorragh. Dark Eldar, like most Eldar kindreds, employ advanced technology, including anti-gravity devices, dark matter weaponry, nanotechnology, and psychic artifacts. However, unlike their kin, the Dark Eldar's technology is manufactured through traditional means, rather than being psychically grown. Originally, Dark Eldar society was centered around a small number of noble houses, both before the fall and for some time afterward. These houses ruled from their own provinces in the central expanse of Commorragh, where elitism was a way of life, and they would eliminate anyone who threatened their status. This order was disrupted by a slave named Asdrubal Vecht, who founded the Cabal of the Black Heart. The Cabals emerged as the dominant force in Commorragh, replacing the old aristocracy with Cabal-like power. This new system ensured that power would not be inherited, but seized through force. Many of Commorragh's surviving noble families rebranded themselves as Cabals, adapting to the new paradigm. Below the Cabals are the witch cults, autonomous organizations that train and employ Colosseum fighters, known as witches, or Hekatari. They operate out of their own arenas, which serve as both venues for their brutal battles and as showcases for the wealth and status of the cult. They work as mercenaries for Cabals, lending their strength in exchange for slaves. The Colosseum regularly stages fights to showcase their talents, pitting witches against each other, groups of slaves, or fearsome alien beasts. These exhibitions serve as advertisements to Cabals, attracting more work and further enhancing their reputation. There are also other groups, such as the Homunculi Covens, self-contained enclaves of the most malevolent entities in Comorag. Homunculi congregate in their sinister sanctuaries, each occupying vast realms of cells and laboratories where they engage in their macabre craft. One of their most crucial functions is the artificial creation of Dark Eldar. Fertilized eggs are implanted into amniotic tubes that weave through the breeding walls of their labs. Using an ancient and abhorrent technology, the growth of these embryos is accelerated, allowing the Dark Eldar to swell their ranks. The science of the Covens extends beyond the mere creation of life, to the perverse art of denying death. Homunculi possess the dreadful power to resurrect the dead, provided the corpse is delivered to them within a day of death. Cabals frequently forge pacts with the Homunculi to restore their fallen warriors after dangerous raids. The resurrection process is a grotesque ritual involving the infusion of pain into a living victim. Beyond the principal factions that dominate Dark Eldar society, there exist other notable entities, such as the Incubi and Mandrakes. An Incubus is a paragon of martial prowess among the Dark Eldar, embodying the zenith of their warrior elite. These fearsome combatants are living embodiments of death, existing solely to kill and protect. Outside of battle, Incubi serve as personal bodyguards, shadowing their clients with unwavering vigilance. Mandrakes, on the other hand, hail from the shadowed region of Comorag known as Alindrak. These beings are often wild and cannibalistic, choosing to live apart from their kin. Their physiques have adapted in terrifying ways to their dark existence. Mandrakes possess what is known as shadow skin, a camouflage that renders them nearly invisible outside direct light. They exist on the fringes of reality, capable of emerging from the very shadows of others. The Dark Eldar ultimately cast a pall of corruption across the galaxy. From their darkened citadels within the labyrinthine webway, they unleash a tide of malevolence that seeps into the very fabric of the universe. Their relentless raids, driven by insatiable hunger and a predatory lust for suffering, rends the veils of tranquility in countless worlds. In their wake, entire star systems may be left as barren scars, their once vibrant worlds reduced to mere footnotes in the annals of despair. Their influence pervades the galaxy's underbelly, turning its hidden corners into arenas of suffering and bloodshed. The Dark Eldar are not merely a force of destruction, they are the embodiment of nihilistic entropy, perpetually feeding on the suffering of others to stave off their own existential dread. Their very existence is a defiant affront to cosmic harmony, ensuring that wherever their shadow falls, the galaxy trembles in the throes of their dark legacy.